The annual football showdown with Utah is bigger than just losing the rivalry factor. Plus, the best to everywhere number 50 features a couple of all-timers at BYU, a three-time Super Bowl champion in Bart Oates and national champion for the Cougars, Trevor Mattich, first-round NFL draft pick. We'll talk with both of them. Plus, our Top 5 Tuesday highlights the top 5 games against Big Ten competition in BYU football history. Big Ten doesn't want the heat. Here are today's BYU Sports Nation headlines.
BYU Football Media Day, originally set for Monday, July 20th, has been postponed.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're going to explain why this makes sense coming up in what's trending. But this was something that we planned on in 6 days. Obviously a big day here at BYU TV, showcasing, doing various shows. To me, this is a good move. We'll explain coming up why and what's trending.
How about some Madden football ratings love for Taysom Hill, the NFL Swiss Army knife, rated one of the top 3 fastest quarterbacks in the uber-popular video game franchise. Hill comes in with the 3rd quickest speed rating, 90 out of a possible 99 in Madden 21. The reigning NFL MVP, Lamar Jackson, tops the list, followed by former Heisman Trophy winner Kyler Murray, then one Taysom Hill.
That is wild that Taysom is on this list. Think about it. He's one less in rating than Kyler Murray in speed in Madden. Think about where Taysom has come from to now, not only with injuries, but other items in that conversation, right? It's crazy.
What an amazing story.
How about that, man?
It gets better by the year. It's incredible.
The Cougar Club names Greg Vihar as its new director, taking over from Mike Middleton, who's gone to a different department on campus. He's been the assistant director over the past 20 years. He will oversee and manage services, ticketing, and events for over 5,000 Cougar Club members. That's a big job because they help in the process of raising funds for BYU and making the alumni experience good. So Greg Vihar, the new guy.
Kirsten Fotu and Naomi Suifua of BYU Women's Golf competing in the Utah Women's State Amateur. Suifua finished day 1 at 4 over par. That's good enough to be tied for 7th. Fotu currently tied for 23rd at 10 over par after the first day. 61 athletes competing in the opening 2 rounds of stroke play. The top 16 advance to Wednesday and Thursday's match play round. Good luck to Kirsten and Naomi as they push forward. All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
You're talking about it, and so are we. It's What's Trending on BYU Sports Nation.
BYU football has a growing and urgent priority list, especially for athletic director Tom Homo. Multiple Power 5 conferences going to a conference-only schedule, leaving BYU with 5 canceled games and counting. Season's first game now scheduled for Utah State on October 2nd. What? There will be nothing about September to remember, Jerem, if BYU doesn't have a game in September. You referenced on Twitter yesterday the NCAA allows teams to practice and hold organized team activities 6 weeks out from game number 1. Game number 1 is October 2nd, so they can open in mid-August. This is a problem.
August 24th would be about the day.
Jerem, BYU needs a week 1 opponent like yesterday. So should that team be an FCS opponent just to put somebody in place for week number 1?
Now, we learned this morning that Utah State does have a canceled game in week 1. So would it make sense to move Utah State into week 1? I think that could be an option. I think that should be a conversation that should be had. If Utah State can't, there's other options like Alabama. Yeah, I don't see that happening, but there are other options of canceled games that could happen. I still believe that we probably won't play, but we should continue to try, and we'll hack away at those angles on this show because we do it for an hour every day. Let's fill that space, right? Let's go. BYU's down to 7 games on the schedule. If you get an FCS team, great. I just think an FCS team is the easiest option. Maybe Utah State is. But as you explained, BYU cannot practice this upcoming Monday like they thought they would on the first day of the extended 6-week fall camp because they don't have a game. They cannot. In fact, right now, they're not going to show up and be there because they cannot. They can do, if they want, I guess, voluntary workouts still or whatnot. But BYU is in a situation right now. They cannot practice officially until around August 24th right now because the first game is October 2nd. BYU has to get a week 1 opponent yesterday so they can be practicing. Yet, I still come from the stance that I'm hoping we play, but I'm not sure that we are going to.
Hey, you got to prepare to play in hopes that something could happen. All types of contingencies are in place. The idea of Utah State in week number 1 is fun. It's kind of the next best thing to playing Utah. It's still that rivalry game factor. It would be a home game for BYU, but I don't know what the Mountain West Conference is going to do. The Mountain West Conference could come in and say, conference only, so no non-conference games for our teams, and then BYU's soar out of luck there. They lose Utah State, they lose San Diego State, and Boise State, if that's the matter. I hope that the Broncos carry a loud voice in this conversation, and they should because they're the best team in the Mountain West, and that they want to play BYU, and that there's some type of +1 exception if it comes to that. But speaking with Brett McMurphy yesterday, he said that most conference commissioners are preparing to play a conference-only schedule, and then we'll see what happens with a team like BYU after that. If there's an exception, yes, give me Utah State. That makes a ton of sense. Or a UNLV who had a scheduled game against Arizona State in week number 1 go away. Any of those close Mountain West teams, if there's an exception, have BYU play one of those teams. If not, maybe it is wise to just go out and find an FCS team and be like, hey, let's just go ahead and get this first game on the schedule so that we guarantee,
so that you can practice.
Guarantee that we can start practice. If BYU waits for the Mountain West Conference in Utah State, then there's still a chance that they'd have to maneuver practices again if that game goes away.
Let's say BYU doesn't schedule this game for 2 weeks. They will have had a week less of preparation than everybody else. BYU is in a predicament. All the teams are in a predicament as to how we're going to actually make this happen.
Wait, is Alabama in a predicament right now if they don't have an opening game against USC?
Everyone's in a predicament that doesn't have a week 1. So Utah is in the same situation where they're going to be at least a week late. I don't know who they have in week 2 and 3. They had non-conference. I think Wyoming was one of those and somebody else. So they can't start for a couple weeks as well. So there are teams that have week 1 conference games that exist, but it's not as many and it's not everybody. A few dominoes have fallen. Several more are going to fall. I'm interested to see if Group of Fives will go conference only because Power Fives have more money, therefore more testing can be had, right? Group of Fives may say, let's standardize the test in our conference and it's going to be on Wednesdays and we're going to get it back Friday, and then you know if the person can play the next day, even though they could contract the virus after that. But I don't know how it's going to work. Group of Fives, I don't think are going to function maybe in the same way because they have less money. It's kind of different.
Jeremy, I would love to ask all of these questions on BYU Football Media Day, but it's not happening because it's been canceled. And frankly, how can they have answers at this point?
Right. No. I think it's good that they push it back, get some answers, figure it out. I think BYU can spend that time actually working on this. I think it makes sense not to have a media day. ACC, SEC, they push theirs back. I think it makes sense for BYU not to have one. In fact, in one of our meetings yesterday, I brought it up and I said, wait, should BYU be doing this? They don't have all the answers quite yet. I know they're working on it. They've been having conversations. And when they do, they could have some kind of preview for the season.
Yes.
And virtually, that's a lot easier than in person.
There's no reason to rush into a scenario where you have no answers right now.
Right. And maybe they have some. They just want a few more. They're figuring all that out right now.
Our question of the day, speaking of answers, should BYU schedule an FCS team right now for week 1? Why or why not? Let's go to Voice of the Nation.
This is the Voice of the Nation on BYU Sports Nation.
At JGibbs19 answers on Twitter. I would schedule anyone for week 1. That would allow the team to start practice in July and to start playing some actual football as soon as possible.
Yeah. Do you want to wait for maybe Utah State, or do you try and get a Weber State, Southern Utah, Dixie, or other FCS? That's the question. I would say sooner than later so you can start practicing.
And if you can lock in Utah State, but there are so many different decisions that have to happen before that can go into play.
It's like an interest rate on a house. Do you want to lock it in right now, or could it maybe be better later? I don't know. Coming up, ESPN's Trevor Manich on if we'll have college football, and if he's the best to wear number 50, it's loaded.
Hey, Bart Oates wore number 50. The 3-time Super Bowl champion will join us next. What does he think about that combo? This is BYU Sports Nation.
Bart Oates was awesome, man.
First and 10, BYU. Wide receiver screen near side, complete to Simon. Simon to the 10, to the 5. Does he get it? He dives for the pylon. Where's the signal? No, it comes late. He scored. He scored. There comes the touchdown signal. Micah Simon for 6. It's a flea flicker and a throw to Bushman. It's complete and another touchdown! Fires quickly to his right. Picked off. Diving interception made. Zach throws. Caught on the goal line. Touchdown Cougars! Touchdown Cougars! Intercepted. Yes, it is. Isaiah Kafusi with a pick. The Cougars again with a takeaway.
Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork offers a large inventory of Ford vehicles, including a selection of cars and trucks, providing a range of transportation choices. From the Ford Fusion sedan and the Edge crossover SUV to a range of pickups including the F-150. Each product line comes with options to enhance performance, comfort, and safety. Think Ford, think Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork.
Let's go! Yeah, I wouldn't miss it.
It's going to be so cool.
It's a life-changing moment for the rest of my life.
This is the champion we've been waiting for.
Dwight. Ow!
Interesting choice of words. It's literally a big deal.
My aim is to prove kindness can change the world.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, the official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
The greatest BYU football plays in the words of the greatest BYU football players. Join us Friday, July 17th on BYU Sports Nation for BYU football great moments as told by players at noon Eastern on BYU TV and BYU Radio.
We are live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton. That is Jerem Jordan. It is now our pleasure and exciting opportunity to welcome in a member of the BYU Hall of Fame, a three-time Super Bowl champion, five-time Pro Bowler, and president of the NFL Alumni Association, Bart Oates, on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Bart, welcome to BYU Sports Nation, making your show debut.
Hey, thank you very much. I am honored. I mean, this is one of those things, you know, it's one of those bucket list items, so I can check that one off.
You mean for us?
It's my bucket list, yeah.
Hey, Bart, are you going for Merlin
I've been
Olsen?
waiting for a phone call.
Are you going for Merlin Olsen, Little House on the Prairie look? I like it.
Yeah, no, this is my COVID look. I figure we're not, we're here. We're isolated, been quarantined. So I said, my wife's not real happy about it, but as soon as the quarantine is over with, the beard goes.
Okay. Well, clearly you have a face and a voice for TV. And with that in mind, we did some research and found out that you were a wedding guest in a 1992 episode of Guiding Light. What do you remember about that?
Nothing, as a matter of fact. I didn't know that. Really? You sure?
It's not a thing? It didn't happen?
Tell me about that. That's news to me. Usually it's I get hit up about the Hunger Teen episode, but no, that I don't know about.
Our research team, we're gonna have to check with them.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk to them about that.
Okay, obviously we just needed you on the show. You're one of the BYU legends, but number 50 is a number that is hotly contested between you and Trevor Mattich and even Greg Kite. We're gonna have Trevor on as well.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, crazy number 50. So I guess make the case for who you think is the best number 50 in BYU history among those three.
Well, I'll put myself at number 3. I think Trevor had a much better collegiate career than I did. He was on the national championship team. He was All-American. He was a first-round draft pick. I didn't even get drafted in the NFL. I went to the USFL. So mine was a bit circuitous as it was. And then Greg Kite was just a stud on the basketball court. So, I'll say it's between Trevor and Greg. I like both of them. They're both good friends. And so I'm going to give them both a 1 and 1A.
So you said that Trevor had a much more prestigious collegiate career than you, Bart, but then you go on to the pro scenario where you're a 3-time Super Bowl champion, a 5-time Pro Bowler. So can we make you number 1 once you guys got to the pros? Is that fair?
You know what? I'm honored to just be in the be considered with Greg and with Trevor. So I'm happy about it.
Let's talk about the difference of what linemen do nowadays versus back then, because you are listed at 6'4", 242. I saw another spot, 6'4", 265. It was a different era, right, in terms of the size that you were as a lineman. Say, nowadays you'd have to be pushing 290, 310, right?
Oh, it was, it was amazing. So I came in, Roger French, whom many former linemen from BYU just revere, was this very iconic figure as offensive line coach. He was this prototypical line coach and just kind of a mad scientist type guy. And that's what most really good offensive lineman coaches are. He could take a guy and just work with him. And, he was a guy that took me. I came in at, I think when I first came to BYU my freshman year, I was right around 30, 35. I went on a mission, came back about 42. And I left BYU about 65. And yet, it was, we were, right, we passed it a lot with Jim McMahon Young when I was there. And so all we had to do, just pass block. And so you didn't need a huge guys, just guys that were good techniques and could work together. And he was he was a master at being able to take that and taking guys and do that.
Bart, you hail from Albany, Georgia, and as you mentioned, played with Steve Young and Jim McMahon and played on some iconic teams coached by Lavelle Edwards. How would you differentiate between those two great quarterbacks at BYU? How were they maybe similar, and how were they different?
I can tell you they were different. I'm not sure there were a lot of No. They were, they were both great quarterbacks, but very different. Different mentality, different, Jim was this guy that had this just unbelievable, he exuded this confidence that you're like, when you got on the field with Jim McMahon, you just like, he took over. He was this guy. And then Steve Young was this guy that he didn't want to disappoint anybody. And he wanted to win because people would be disappointed. And that's why the first start he went to Georgia and threw 6 interceptions. But anyway, that's a different story. They were great. Off the field, very different, and had just a different way of going about it. But as far as football players, got to be the two best football players that probably, at least in my era anyway, obviously that went through BYU.
Give us some insight into kind of what happened during your career, because 77 is this amazing season, but Giff is going to be a Heisman finalist. He gets hurt. Mark takes over and is unbelievable, right? Speaking of like 6 interceptions, the second game after the 7 touchdown game. But then you go on a mission, you come back. 80 is an amazing season. 81 was fantastic. Yeah. 82, Steve's figuring it out so that in 83, once you go to the USFL, he really turns it on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. But that was an interesting. So you end up snapping the ball to some of the greatest quarterbacks in college football history, a bunch of college football Hall of Famers. That was an unbelievable era.
Listen, the program was under Lavelle and his tutelage and his leadership was able to take this really nondescript and a program that should never have any national prominence into this, to a national championship and national prominence. And has been able to enjoy those, quite frankly, enjoying it even today because of what happened 35, 40 years ago.
Understandably, we have been reliving many of the iconic moments within BYU football just because, it's something that we like to do in the summer, and given the world circumstances, we like to go back.
I don't know if you heard about COVID, but we do a daily show, so.
Yeah, we're digging deep into this history of BYU football, and we love to get the perspective on those iconic moments from the players that lived it. So let's go to the 1980 Holiday Bowl against SMU. Jim and BYU, miraculously, even in position to be close in this game. What do you remember about the Hail Mary from that game?
There's just so many moments, right? It was like men against boys. SMU, people didn't know at the time, but that was by far the best. That was the best team that money could buy. Right. As it turned out, and the money's. They were getting more than a lot of NFL guys were getting. That was that wheeling. They were, running and gunning, and I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on down in Texas with guys just, hundreds of thousands of dollars and suitcases of money. It was crazy. I played with a couple of the guys. They had 9 guys off that defense that went on to become starters in the NFL.
Wow.
On the defensive teams. It was just a phenomenal, right? Dickerson and Craig James. I mean, it's just, you go on and on and on. And that offensive line was just, they were studs. I remember we were warming up looking out at them going, oh my gosh. We thought we were pretty good. And then we got there, we just saw the physicality, just the physical nature of those guys. Those were men. I mean, we were high school kids compared to them. So for us to even to be in a situation, and they were beating us so bad, they wound up taking the second teamers out and putting third teamers in, guys that probably never even played all season. And then when we started to get some rhythm going and Vi returns a touch, punt for a touchdown, we start making some stops and we make a few plays. And, once we got the momentum, we had that position where, although unlikely, 3 seconds left and 50 yards to go, they didn't put their starters back in who'd been sitting out for almost a half and were completely, these guys had to put their uniforms back on. And it was just, and we were, in the moment, you just don't realize what it all means or what it's going to mean. But, it just was very unlikely. And I'm going against Michael Carter. Michael Carter winds up becoming he still holds the national high school record for shot put at 82 feet. And I don't think anybody's come within like 5 feet of his record. It's the longest standing high school track record that there is. And he was a silver medalist in the Olympics. He was a first round draft pick for the 49ers and was just a stud of a defensive nose tackle. He's a guy I was playing against, and he's beat me like a redheaded stepchild. It was so bad. And I blocked him just enough, and he got around me. He was going to crush Jim. Jim just heaves it up into the end zone. It goes through their arms into Clay Brown, and we kick the extra point. We win by a point. It's kind of unlikely.
So once Clay catches that ball, are you then focused on, hey, I got to go snap this to win the game? I
wasn't snapping. No.
Oh, you weren't snapping. Okay.
No. We had, in college, you have enough guys where you have a specialty like they do in the NFL just for that. I did in the NFL, but I didn't have to snap in college. No. So as soon as that happened, I said, all right. I said, my job, I had to go pick up Jim because my guy just pasted Jim after he threw the ball. I had to go scrape him off the field and kind of help him. He was kind of straighten his helmet was sideways, and he took quite a few hits in that game.
Bart Oates with us on BYU Sports Nation. We'll finish with this. One of your other former teammates has a prominent role in BYU athletics, as in he is the athletic director, Tom Holmoe. What was Tom like as a teammate in that golden era?
He's a defensive back. I don't get involved with defensive back. I couldn't even tell you their names. Listen, I was an offensive lineman. If it didn't really, I had these blinders on. Is like this. Now, after the fact, I got to know Tom really well. He was, when I went to San Francisco and playing with Steve, we won the Super Bowl in '94. Tom was actually a defensive backs coach, and we had a couple of other guys that were BYU guys, and so we had a pretty good collection there of BYU guys at San Francisco. So I got to know Tom, and Tom's a really good friend. He's done a great job as the athletic director at BYU, really leading all the entire athletic department into creating such opportunities and keeping us at that national prominence, which is it's hard to do in today's era, particularly given with the power conferences and the money's involved. And I just think it's just what BYU's done is just phenomenal.
All right, we're going to send our crack research team to double check on all of your TV appearances, but we know for sure we can add you now to BYU Sports Nation.
All right, thank you. Like I said, I checked off my bucket list today, one of the bucket list items.
Bart, it's great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Bart.
Thanks, guys. Hey, and you know what? I'm proud to be in third place. Trevor and Greg Kite, those two awesome dudes.
An extremely humble approach. Thanks for the time, my friend.
Thanks, guys.
Bart Oates on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why, we show how.
He's one of the best players in BYU history, like at any position, right, in football. And we've never had him on, and I'm so happy that today we were able to have Bart Oates on. That was great. And I have a million questions. We got to have him on again. I have so many questions. That was great. And I also forgot that a long snapper existed, apparently. Coming up, Trevor Matrox, if he was a better number 50 than Bart Oates and Greg Kite.
And a very special Top 5 Tuesday Big Ten edition. Because, you know, the Big Ten Conference went conference only.
Because, you know, we're not playing any Big Ten.
This is BYU Sports Nation.
Because they're not going to play BYU.
They say the best gift is a memory. A moment we love that we can't forget. When we say everything without saying anything. They are moments that you make together. And the memories last forever.
At Intermountain Healthcare, we understand that broken arms haven't stopped. Babies continue to be born, emergencies continue to happen, and doctor visits are still needed. At Intermountain Healthcare, we've put the measures in place to safely care for you in these difficult times. So please, don't put off the care you need, especially for stroke-like symptoms, chest pain, difficulty breathing, or other urgent care. We're here for you. Visit intermountainhealthcare.org/here for you to learn how to get the care you need.
Hi, Daddy.
Hi, sweetie.
Check this out. Chicken wings. I love you.
Have a car wreck? Martin's Collision Repair.
The right repair, the right paint, the right choice. Martin's Collision Repair.
10 elite athletes, and they're going to be like fish out of water. They're competing in sports that are foreign to them. I think this is going to be a summer that they'll never forget. If you want some just really feel-good adventure, this is a show, quite frankly, you don't want to miss.
On the latest BYU Sports Nation right now, why BYU football in the 40s is sadly like the 2020 season. Spoiler alert, BYU didn't play Utah, kind of like this year. Check it out on the BYU Sports Nation social media.
Welcome back to the show. We have a special presentation of our Top 5 Tuesday presented by Delta Keep Climbing. Following the Big Ten's recent conference-only scheduling announcement, you may have heard BYU drops 2 Big Ten opponents on this year's schedule, a home opener with Michigan State and a Week 4 road contest at Minnesota. There will be no rowing of the boat. It stinks. No way around it. But, Jeremy, I think the Big Ten just didn't want the heat BYU was going to bring this year, man.
Oh.
They don't want the heat because the Cougars have produced some epic results against the Big Ten Conference. Thus, we present the top 5 Big Ten football games in BYU football history.
They happen to be all the wins. Let's go. Number 5, 1991 Holiday Bowl versus Iowa. It ended in a tie, but guess what? BYU was unranked. Ty Detmer's final game as a Cougar. Iowa is ranked 7th. BYU's down 13-0. Iowa misses a PAT. That proves costly. Ty Detmer ties the game with 4:19 to go. Iowa missed a would-be game-winning field goal. BYU gets the ball back. Detmer drives BYU down to the 18-yard line, and with 16 seconds left, unfortunately, the last play of Ty Detmer's career as a Cougar is a tipped pass that ends up being an interception, and BYU ties.
Kick the field goal!
Ties stink. That ended up being the second tie that BYU had that year, by the way. The 91 San Diego State epic, right? But in that very stadium. So
yeah.
2 ties in the same stadium.
On the same field.
Jack Murphy Stadium? There you go.
Wild. The last 2 games that BYU played, no less. At number 4, Michigan State, Smarty in 2016. It turned out to be a blowout in East Lansing against a team that went to the college football playoff the previous season. 31-14 BYU victory led by Taysom Hill and Jamal Williams. J-Swag Daddy with 165 yards, 2 scores on the day. Taysom Hill sealing the deal, scoring late. BYU outrushed Sparty 260-85 in East Lansing.
Number 3, 2015 at Nebraska. This game's known for the Hail Mary, but first, Taysom Hill accounted for 351 total yards, 3 touchdowns, suffering a Liz Frank injury in the second quarter. Played on it in the third. On the final play of the game, Tanner Mangum finds Mitch Matthews from 42 yards out to win the game, snapping a 29-game home season-opening win streak. Here is the play. Shuffling. Plenty of time. Mixing 06 with 2015. Mitch Matthews with the incredible catch at the goal line, and BYU takes down Nebraska.
Number 2, 2018 at Wisconsin. Jump around. The Cougars walk into Camp Randall a year after being blown out by the Badgers in Provo and get some revenge. Squally Canada and his teammates outrushed the future second-round pick Jonathan Taylor. Aleva-Hifo just saw that trick play, connecting with Moroni Laulu-Pututau, and BYU takes advantage of a late missed field goal. Yes, indeed, the Cougars jump around on the sidelines at Camp Randall, and they end a 40-plus game non-conference home win streak for the Badgers.
It was 41, and Wisconsin ranked 6th. That was a big win, man. And the best win against the Big Ten ever. 1984 versus Michigan in the Holiday Bowl at 12-0 and number 1. A win is the only chance BYU has at a national championship. Down 7 to a 6-5 Michigan team. BYU comes back in the fourth quarter, and injured Robbie Bosco pulls off an iconic comeback in Cougar history. 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. BYU beats Michigan 24-17 and wins the Natty. Robbie Bosco to Kelly Smith was the game-winning score. And the Cougars find out later they win the national championship. What a win. And those are the top 5 wins against Big Ten teams.
Bo Schembechler and Michigan go down.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh had broken his arm. Michigan was ranked as high as 3rd earlier in the season. Jim Harbaugh's in a sling across the way there.
Those are the top 5 games against the Big Ten in BYU football history.
Okay, coming up, we decided who the best was to wear number 50.
But first, we got to hear from the other candidate, right? So we're going to talk to Trevor Mattish next. This is BYU Sports Nation.
Greg Kite's like, hey, what about me?
Are we going to have college football?
BYU Food to Go's convenient location at 2191 North Canyon Road in Provo makes bringing popular BYU foods to your next event easy. Everything's ready when you need it at the drive and load pickup. You drive in and they load no matter the weather. And stop in the on-site creamery.
I'll put them through intensive training.
Wayne Brady? The Wayne Brady? How come no one told me that?
With the help of a few of my very talented friends.
Who you are is enough.
Wait, are they helping or judging?
Well, now I'm intimidated.
Trust me, you won't want to miss it.
A man who fell into an upholstery machine is now fully recovered.
You're watching BYU TV on KBYU DT Provo, Salt Lake City.
This devotional address with Michael Dunn was given on October 1st, 2019.
Good morning, brothers and sisters, and welcome to our devotional. We're pleased to have Michael A. Dunn, Managing Director of BYU Broadcasting, as our speaker today. We extend a special welcome to his wife, Linda, as well as their family members and friends who are here. Michael A. Dunn is the Managing Director of BYU Broadcasting, where he oversees BYU TV and BYU Radio. He previously was the general manager of KUED, a PBS affiliate in Salt Lake City. He also founded Dunn Communications, Inc., a Salt Lake City-based film production company. His peer distinctions include a gold medal from the New York Film Festival and an Emmy Award. Brother Dunn graduated from the University of Utah, earning both a bachelor's and master's degrees in mass communications. He has served in the church as a missionary in the Hawaii Honolulu Mission, as a bishop, stake president, and as a mission president in the South Africa Johannesburg Mission. He currently serves as an Area 70. A devoted runner, cross-country skier, and cyclist, Brother Dunn has completed more than 30 marathons and other endurance events, including the Ironman. He and his wife of 39 years, Linda, have 3 children and 8 grandchildren. Now we'll be pleased to hear from Michael Dunn.
Thank you, President Worthen, and good morning, dear students, faculty, and colleagues here at BYU. Special greetings today also to our nationwide television and radio audience tuning in via BYU TV and BYU Radio. Now, on behalf of our entire staff behind the cameras and microphones at BYU Broadcasting, may I first say how much we enjoy bringing these inspiring devotionals to you each and every week. And may I also say with equal certainty that on behalf of one justifiably terrified member of our staff today, that it's a lot more pleasant being behind those cameras and microphones than in the front. Now, I know you came here on this beautiful October day expecting a devotional.